Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas, on Sunday, August the 3rd. And as we like to do with lots of frequency, let me say hello to my good friend George Rodriguez down in South Texas. George, how are you?
Real good. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we got some sad news today to start the show. One of our favorite people from the television business back in the 1970s, when television used to be funny back then. The
Yeah.
comedies were actually comedies. But Laurie Anderson of that show, WKRP, passed away at age 79. You know, I wouldn't call myself a devoted fan of that show. Once in a while, I did catch it. But I think that show was an exhibit of a time when television was actually funny.
I agree completely. Yeah.
Yeah, when shows were actually funny, when the emphasis of of comedy show was to entertain people, not to lecture people, not to tell you what to think or call you names if you didn't vote the right way or whatever. And I just think that it was better television. I mean, I
I
just
agree.
think that
I mean,
the
something like Archie Bunker, you could never do anymore on TV because they would. I mean, they were branded racist, which it
yeah,
was. But that was what was funny. He was a racist, and it was funny. But apparently,
right.
there is no humor among the leftists and the liberals now. Laurie Anderson epitomized, in my opinion, the beautiful girls that that were on primetime TV. She was really a stunning looking woman, and she played the stereotype of a dumb blonde. I
Yeah,
used to watch the program because I was at that point I was in college and I was taking journalism and broadcasting, and that's what the show was all about. And I
right.
used to just laugh my head off. Um, it was a really funny, well done show.
It was. It was very funny. As I said, I didn't watch every week, but once in a while it was on. But it seemed like there was a time there in the late 70s, I guess mid to late 70s, where, on any given night you had a very good list of shows. I mean, I can thinking out loud of some
Mary Tyler
shows
Moore was another
that
one.
Mary Tyler Moore, what was her friend's name? Rhoda, wasn't it?
Rhoda,
Rhoda, yeah. And then you had Mork and Mindy. That was very funny. Mork
that
and
was
Mindy.
funny. That was
And
very
then Little House on the Prairie. That was a good show back then. In fact, I remember the first time that show aired. The very first time that show was on, I didn't even know what it was based on. I had no idea. I had to actually learn that it was based on that young woman's books and all of that. But that was a good program. It just seemed like there were a lot of good shows. Of course,
Well, you had
back
the
then,
Waltons. Remember the
the
Waltons?
Waltons, yeah,
I
the
mean, the
Waltons,
Waltons would be something that would both offend as well as be laughable,
yeah.
according to today's uh, news.
It was
And then if you were
it
to
was
put
too traditional, I guess.
it was too traditional. And now,
Yeah.
if you were to take The View and put it in the '70s, they'd think that was a comedy.
Yeah, assuming it even got an audience back then,
Yes.
but it just seemed like there was a much better understanding in those shows back then, and I even go back to the '60s because there were some great comedies and great shows back then. Leave It to Beaver was one, but remember Combat? Remember that show, Combat, the military show, and My Three Sons. The other day, the Patty Duke show, I was talking to somebody about that.
Yes.
It just seemed like there was a number of shows in the 60s and 70s that understood why people tuned in, and they tuned
Exactly.
in to be entertained.
Be entertained.
Yeah, you want to watch, and interestingly, because the other day I was watching an interview with Johnny Carson, and in that interview, I think it was Mike Wallace, yeah, the fellow with 60 Minutes, was asking him about, gee, why is it that you don't have a lot of opinions? And then just I'm paraphrasing Johnny Carson, but he basically said, look, people don't really care what my opinion is, and they don't watch my show to hear my opinion. They just want to be entertained. And that's what the essence, I think, of that television back then, whether it was this program,
Yeah.
WKRP, or any other show,
Yes.
George.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it was. I mean, one of the funniest episodes on WKRP was a Thanksgiving show where they dropped from a helicopter free turkeys, and then they realized at the last moment that the turkeys couldn't fly.
Right.
Turkeys couldn't
Yeah.
fly.
Right.
Now, I guarantee that PETA and everyone else would just have a fit in today's world, because that wouldn't be funny to them. But
No,
it
but
was
that
hysterical.
was a classic of a show, though. I mean, that I've seen they run that show, I think, every at Thanksgiving around that time, because that was a classic
It
of
was.
a show. But I just thought that the idea of a radio station in Cincinnati where you got to see the flaky DJs, and then, as you say, there was Laurie Anderson. I think she was the secretary, wasn't she?
She was the
Or
secretary.
secretary? Yes. But and no, I know a lot of women would say, well, that's just they're
stereotyping.
stereotyping. And okay, it probably was, but it was funny. It was funny. I mean, Mary Tyler Moore was not Mary Tyler Moore, but Dick Van Dyke was stereotyping.
Exactly.
And that was a very funny show. I Love Lucy was stereotyping, and that. So I just think that people would tune in these shows to be entertained, and I think that's the reason.
Well, and on the other hand, we've got the situation now where Colbert is now doubling down and being more offensive and more political, and
yeah, I think he's probably saying, I don't have a lot of time left, so let me really go. Let me really show the world that I am as infected by Trump derangement syndrome as I've ever been. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just that they've killed the night comedies or the night shows or late night shows. They've killed them, because they used to be Johnny Carson, who was just a lot of fun. To me, Johnny Carson was a fun show.
A genius at being funny.
That's right.
And Jay Leno too.
And he had some incredible writers. I mean, he's absolutely great, incredible writers, and people who would kept them, as fresh as possible. And then, of course, Mr. Ed, his friend Ed, who was a great sidekick. And then the trumpet player, what was his name on the Tonight Show? I can't think of his name right now. The band leader, who played the trumpet.
Yeah. Doc Severinsen.
Doc Severinsen, yeah. I mean, it just seemed like these people understood what the point of it all was. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be political. To laugh,
to smile,
to entertain people. That's it. You want to entertain people. If you want a seminar on whatever, well, take a college class to do that. But don't expect.
Listen to PBS.
Yeah, I mean, assuming it's still on. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I mean, Laurie Anderson, she was 79. I don't know anything about why she died or whether she was ill. But I think she left a lot of memories. I really do. That whole show. I think, and I think I remember people, people in the radio business thought this was a very funny show because it made fun of DJs.
Yeah.
And it made fun of all their idiosyncrasies, and it was just funny. What can I tell you? Well, we got some funny stuff going on in Texas, George. We have Democrats who've decided to leave the state because they don't want to participate, I guess, in the voting for the new maps. And I just thought it was fascinating, George, that they would leave the state and go to the land of Lincoln, Illinois. And I find that to be hilarious because if there is a state in the union that has drawn up its districts to favor one party over another, it's the state of Illinois. In Illinois, they have 17 congressional districts. 14 are Democrats and 3 are Republicans. In a state where the Republican presidential candidate will usually get between 40 and 45% of the popular vote in the whole state. And yet when they draw up the districts, they go 17 and 3, or no, excuse me, 14 and 3. And then these people in Texas are complaining that we want to redraw the districts. I mean, I guess if you're going to run to a state, maybe they should run somewhere where the gerrymandering is not so obvious, George.
Yeah, if you look at the map, at the congressional district map of Illinois, you will see that the Republican, conservative, white, Christian vote has been placed in three heavily white, Christian, Republican, conservative districts.
I assume
Three of them.
in the south
Yes,
of the
in the
state, right?
rural area.
Yeah, right.
That's where those three are. The
And that's where
rest,
you have these congressional districts are like they look like a snake. They start over
yeah,
here and they make six. You know what I mean? They
they
look like
start at the lake, at Lake Michigan, and they will run almost like a snake down
right.
into the middle of the state, and it's very, very obvious that they have drawn these, that they have put them together with the emphasis on Chicago and Cook County being the dominant political force, and it is. It is. I mean, everything that happens in Chicago and in Cook County is what happens to the state. That's all there is to it.
And it's completely legal what
It
they're
is.
doing.
It
Completely
is.
legal. We're not complaining. We're not complaining. We're not sitting there saying that these people are dictatorial in how
Right.
they do it. But there is a funny story about congressional districts in Illinois. Uh, there were two Democrat congressmen who were actually divided by a street, the district. So one side of the street was one district, the other side of the street was the other district. So the neighbor across your house lived in a different district than you did. So if you were playing catch, let's say from your house to their house, you were playing catch with someone who actually was represented by a different congressman, which again, they had to do stuff like that to play the games that you were making reference to. So look, they're experts at it. The other one too is Maryland. In Maryland, they have 9 districts, 8 Democrats, and 1 Republican.
And the one Republican is far west, the Panhandle they call it, the Panhandle of Maryland, which is right up against the Appalachian Mountains.
Right.
It's
closer
really
to West Virginia, probably.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's right next
No, but
to
I mean, look, as I said before, this is completely legal what they are doing.
It is.
And so they shouldn't complain when we do
it.
it.
The state elects, they elect their state representatives, their state house, their state senate,
Right.
and their governor. And then those are the people that put together the congressional representation in Washington. It starts at the local level and works its way to
which is it emphasizes the importance of participating in these state elections.
Exactly.
Many people overlook these state rep elections or whatever, and they don't realize that the state rep is the one who's going to vote on how they make the map.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, the way we want to do it here, I was, as I mentioned to you the last time, I was with Univision talking about this a few days ago, and I got the question as to whether or not, or it was not a question. They were saying, can you react to the Democrat statement that these districts discriminate? And I said, well, 4 out of the 5 new ones are going to be majority Hispanic. So I don't know how you can be discriminating. Who are you discriminating against? Because what's happened is in South Texas is it looks like Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez, right, are going to be, I guess, competing against each other, right? It looks like that's
they've got serious challenges.
Oh, okay.
They've got serious challenges, and they will be in districts, that have they will be in districts that went for Trump. So they're very, very worried about that.
So those two have serious, and then there's the 2 others. One of the others is Monica La Cruz, right? So
yes,
that's one, and then the other one, Myra Flores. But I thought she ran against Gonzalez the last time.
Yes, she did. But see, it was redrawn. It was redrawn since that race, and so what we've got at this point is going to be, again, new districts that they're going to be running in. And not only are they running in districts that Trump took. But they're also going to be running in districts, or they are going to be running in situations where they have had very, very bad press because of scandals that they've been involved in.
So it's going to be a different district for both of those men.
Plus the scandal.
Plus the scandal, especially Cuellar, I guess.
Well, and Vicente
Gonzalez
also has been, he's got a less known scandal, but nevertheless just as serious, also involving a bank. This one, a bank from China that has been holding his assets.
Oh, wow. I didn't know Vicente was up to that. So I guess since sometimes, and you can understand that, the border is 450 miles away from Dallas. So you don't always get a lot of the details. You hear Cuellar, yes, because the FBI, I guess, went to his house. So that was kind of a national story. But I didn't know about Vicente. So good old Vicente has a few problems of his own.
He's got some real serious problems. And then again, the third strike in this whole thing is that they went, those districts went for Trump. So these guys are looking at a real uphill battle to work at. And this is why there's more panic by the Democrats in fleeing the state and not wanting to redistrict now. But I think that all of this is going to backfire because, again, rather than staying and debating and discussing, they run away.
Right. And I think they did it too. Remember, they went to Washington the last time or did something like that the last time. And remember, that was kind of funny because they got COVID. During COVID, they took a flight.
On a plane.
They all caught a COVID. So you had a bunch of a bunch of representatives who caught COVID, and I think they couldn't come back home or whatever. But I think you're right. I don't think people see that well. People can disagree over the gerrymandering or disagree over whether this should be done now or not done now. Now, let me give you some of the objections that I'm hearing, and then please help me out.
Sure.
One objection is that this can only be done every 10 years because that's when we do the census. So how would you react to that?
That's not true anymore because a population is established in municipalities and counties nowadays because of the way that we can do things. It's established on an annual basis, and we see constantly how populations, how counties or cities are deemed fastest growing. Well, that's based on population count. And
so we have an ongoing census.
We have an ongoing census and count that is happening in communities.
Okay.
So we don't have to wait 10 years.
And the 10 years is only the other two. I think the other misunderstanding about the 10 years is that the purpose of the census in 10 years is not to draw up the districts, but is to determine how many districts you have.
Correct.
Because, in the last census in 2020, Texas picked up 4 seats or 4 new districts. So then Texas gets to draw up those districts. The legislature gets to draw up those districts. So the census simply tells us, okay, your population went up, your population went down. Now you're going to have four new reps, and then you guys figure out where they're going to be. I think that's the way it works with the census. The other criticism, George, is you expect this one from the Democrats, that we are discriminating against Hispanics
yes.
or racist. Okay, even what was our favorite person, Jasmine Crockett, was saying, how can 38% of the population have 60% of the districts? Well, first of all, it's not 38%. The white population is more, I think, in the mid 40s. In fact, it's almost the same as the Hispanic population. And that's a bit of a misnomer too, because there's a lot of white Hispanics who may not be
don't identify as Hispanic first.
That's right. So that's a bit of a misnomer anyway. But anyway, those districts down there why did they decide to do the districts in that region there? Is it because of the population growth in that area? What was the reason for targeting South Texas?
Well, the reason for targeting South Texas, because you don't want to segregate it anymore. Okay. Historically, it has been segregated, and it has clearly impacted on it politically as well as economically. Forever, you have had districts that hugged the border, and these districts became very, very just almost nationalistic among themselves. They would not integrate with the rest of the state. The state could be going in one direction, and South Texas would be going in a different direction, or not going anywhere.
Right.
And so what has been done now is, because there are so many similarities now between communities at the border and communities north of the border, particularly in Bexar County and Uvalde and other communities like that, then they are being incorporated in that aspect of it. And to me, it's very, very good, because it is a situation of integration, political and social integration, that needs to happen.
Right. And I've always felt, for example, here in the Dallas area, we have a district that was intentionally created to elect a Black Democrat. You know, the Bernice Johnson district.
Correct.
That now, the late Bernice Johnson, the district that Jasmine Crockett has right now. And I always felt that discriminated against Blacks, in the sense that it said to them, you can only, you have to be in a district with nothing but Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And
agree.
As a consequence, they got the same kind of congressmen all the time.
Exactly.
Whereas if you break up the district and you bring in a better mix of voters that looks more like the state, they may get better representation that way. But speaking of Jasmine Crockett, it looks like she's going to be in a primary with either I can't think of the fellow's name right now, but with a couple. I know with this lady Johnson here in the Farmers Branch area, and with the other congressman whose name I cannot remember.
Jasmine this morning expressed the concern that she might lose her seat.
Well, yeah, she might lose her seat in a primary to another Democrat. She'd be,
right.
Before she loses.
Of course, she didn't say that. She just said
I know, but she may lose her seat because another Democrat beats her. And those are going to be entertaining debates.
Those are going to be interesting battles, especially because you do have such division within the Democrat Party at this point.
Yes,
you've got the establishment Democrats, and then you've got the radical leftist Democrats.
I can't think of George. I cannot think of the other congressman's name, because there's three of them. There's Jasmine Crockett, this lady Johnson, and then there's one more, roughly in the Dallas area. Those three could be running against each other in this primary, but I can't think of the other congressman's name right now. It'll come to me eventually. But look, I think, as I was telling Univision when I spoke to them, I said, look, this is the prerogative of every state. The Democrats do it in Maryland. The Democrats do it in Illinois. They do it in California.
Nothing illegal about it. Nothing illegal.
No, nothing illegal about it. It's what the states
that they don't like it. That's a different story.
That's a different story. Yeah, but another. A lot of people have, and I was asked about this when I was at Univision, and the question was, why don't we have a commission? And I said, well, first of all, I don't know whether you can have a bunch of people agree on who should be in the commission. No. Because it all sounds really good, a commission,
right?
But the commission has to be appointed by somebody, and it's probably going to reflect the wishes of the majority anyway in the legislature. So a commission in Texas is going to be more likely to favor Republicans, and a commission in California, which in fact they already did that, is going to be favoring Democrats. So really, at the end of the day, the solution is not to blame the people who draw up the districts, is to try, if you don't like what they're doing, maybe win some elections.
The blame only rests on the parties and their platforms, as well as the candidates and their platforms. That's where the blame.
That's it.
Or that's where, because those are the people that have been elected, and that is the party that has been successful. The situation that we've got at this point is that the Constitution specifically says that it's up to the states to redraw or to determine their districts. It's up to them, as long as they fit the outline of the Constitution, of the U.S. Constitution of population in each district, that's what they are allowed to do. And how the states do it, virtually all of them, rather than a commission, the governor is the one that controls it. Virtually every case.
He has to sign off on it. I mean, the
they
governor
want-
has to sign on it.
Well, he's got to sign off on it. He's the one that selects who's going to be, the House representatives that are going to sit on it. It is one of these situations where it is total representation of the people.
Right.
Now, that some people don't like which people are being represented.
Well, welcome to the real world. And
I
honestly,
wanted chocolate ice cream. You gave me vanilla.
Right. That's right. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, but another reason why a lot of states don't want to do a commission is because they don't want to give up the power.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I mean, why would a state legislature give up the power to draw up districts?
New York,
it's a huge
New York
power.
is not happy. Pennsylvania is not happy. They have lost congressmen. They have lost population, and they probably will lose more population. The cities of Philadelphia, the cities of New York, the cities of Chicago have lost population. And many people think that that's why they wanted all these illegal aliens to be bussed into or to be brought into their sanctuaries. It is, they have been losing. And again, people will vote with their feet as well as with their ballot. And, who wants to live in communities that are filled with crime, high taxes, bad energy plans,
I mean, it's the obvious. When you can go somewhere else and live a lot better.
Exactly.
And here's the other thing too that I've heard from people who live in California and New York. It's not just that the taxes are high. It's that you're not getting your money's worth in services. So it's not just that your taxes are high. If your streets were clean, the criminals were off the streets, the infrastructure was working, the schools were working, then at least you could say, okay, the taxes are high, but look, we're getting good results.
Look at all the good things we're getting. Yeah.
But the problem in many of these places is that Chicago is the best example of this. The taxes are high, nothing works. Nothing works. I mean, LA, nothing works in LA. It's a disaster. I don't even know. By the way, speaking of LA, George, I don't have no idea how they're going to do the Olympics.
I don't either.
I mean, that city doesn't look to me like they're ready for an Olympic. But a couple of quick points, George, before we move on. The governor at the moment Governor Abbott has not officially said yes or no about running for re-election. I think if he said yes, he win easily. But do you know anything at all, or is it too early to even? Because it's in 26, so we're talking about a year and a half. So you would think by now somebody would be sounding off.
Probably will say something by next year, I would imagine. But in the meantime, right now, I have not heard a thing.
But I mean, he's got a primary in March of next year. So he's got to start thinking about it, I guess. Probably my guess is after the summer, maybe in the fall sometime, he'll say, I like to see him run because I think he's not only been a very effective governor, but he's developed a very strong national reputation. Extremely. And as long as, he's on top of the world. DeSantis in Florida and Abbott here are the two most consequential governors in the country right
now. High profile.
And very consequential in the national politics. So I like to see him run. Now, again, I hope, I don't know anything about his health. I think he looks very healthy to me. So hopefully, I like to see him come back for another 4. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because he's been a very effective governor. And I cannot think of a better choice, honestly. I'm sure there is a very good person out there who would run. But Abbott has done such a fabulous job, and he's given the state of Texas such a good name.
Yes.
And look how he was on top of the illegal immigration issue, and really became almost like the first major politician to deal with that issue.
Correct.
And to deal with it very effectively. So, hopefully we'll have a better word on that. And the other quick point here, George, is this whole thing about President Trump's appointments. Now he's got several appointments that I guess have not been cleared yet. What should he do? I mean, should he just wait for the recess appointments, which could happen very soon, because I believe the Senate is going on recess. So should he do it that way? Just do recess appointments and move on?
Recess appointments, a lot of people criticize, and people who don't know about it will wring their hands. But recess appointment, in my experience, are sometimes preferable to a hearing, because in many cases the hearings will be held up, and so therefore you can't do the appointment, and you have to, Schumer has been very, very good at holding up hearings, and so a lot of the appointments have not been done because there hasn't been a hearing and there hasn't been a vote. On the other hand, if you do a recess appointment, all that means is that while the Senate is out on recess, the president has the opportunity to go ahead and make an appointment, and that's the end of it. If there's going to be a hearing.
But do you know how long the appointment goes for?
It's good. It's good. It's a permanent appointment.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
But they can always come back and have a hearing on it at a later time.
They can always go through the formal process later, but in the meantime, he's got somebody in place.
He's appointed it.
Yeah,
and the Democrats, are holding things up to the point that they can go ahead and, the Senate could go ahead and act on it. Now, usually a recess appointment is best when you control the Senate. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of Biden appointments in the last administration that were held up by the Republicans, and for some reason the Biden administration just didn't move forward in any form or fashion. Yeah. So they could have done the same thing, but they didn't do it.
It really shows you the power of the Senate, George.
Yeah,
how important controlling the Senate is.
Yeah.
In our federal government, if you control the Senate is really even more important than the House to get things done. I mean, because so much power is.
So a recess appointment is not bad. It's not bad. It's not preferable, but it's not bad.
Okay. I was always under the impression that a recess appointment was like for 6 months or a year.
No,
but from what you're telling me is that it goes on as long as the president. I mean, he can always fire the person, I guess, or present the person.
Or he can always do another appointment. The same person could be reappointed.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, George, I know you're not going to believe this, but the football season, the college football season, I just saw it in advertising on television that the first game, Texas and Ohio State, is going to be on the 30th of August.
Correct.
And for NFL fans, the preseason begins, I guess, this week or the next weekend.
This week.
Yeah, so we're going to have preseason football here with 100 degrees.
Well, the Cowboys are practicing in Thousand Oaks, California.
Right.
And last week, I heard that their temperatures were somewhere like in the low 70s.
Right, and that's why they're out there, I think, so that they can do it. They can do it that well. The one year they did it in San Antonio, if you remember that.
Yeah.
They held their training camp in San Antonio. But the Cowboys, what they usually do is they play a couple of preseason games out there in the West, and then they play their last one preseason here in Dallas. So that's usually how they do it. And of course,
their first preseason next week is going to be with the LA Rams. So
so they'll play out there probably. Yeah. And then eventually they play one game here. But of course, Jerry Jones has taken care of the players so well. He's got a roof, so it can be 100 outside and nice, comfortable 70s inside. So the old days of those games at the old Irving Stadium, where you had that hole on the roof, and it could be 150 inside. I mean, those days are gone. That new stadium is So I mean, that
Spectacular.
one and the baseball stadium, they're both beautiful, and they both have a roof now. So that, I mean, watching a baseball game, and I did it many times. Watch a baseball game here in August or July or even September could be pretty deadly. Especially, we used to go a lot on Sunday afternoons because the boys, it was easy for the boys to take them to a Sunday afternoon game, and there were some Sunday afternoons where
It was
it
hot.
was really hot out there. It was really hot out in the ballpark. So that's over now. Now they have a roof, and the fans can be happy about that. Well, George, as always, let me thank you for your time,
Thank you.
and you have yourself a good week. And if these guys come back into the state, George, you let me know. Although I understand, if I may just bring up another point very quickly, that the attorney general can force him to come back, right?
He can. And this is the attorney general that would certainly do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's going to send a plane and said, "Hey, get on the plane, but please wear a mask
Yeah.
so you don't get COVID from each other again." Well, George, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure, and we'll talk the next time. Our good friend George Rodriguez down in South Texas talking about this crazy thing with what they call gerrymandering, which is how the states throw up the districts. Look, this is old. This goes back to the early days of the Republic or whatever, but it basically means whoever runs the state is going to have the votes to draw up the maps. It's as simple as that. The Democrats do it in Michigan, Illinois, and Maryland, and California, and New York, and hey, let them do it. Power to them. They win the election. Let them do it. And I guess Texas is going to do it now, and I think Florida is going to do it too. Florida and Ohio are also going to be doing it. Although I think Florida has already done it. Actually, they've already redrawn their maps quite well. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye, everybody.